The Trump administration and lawyers for the district going head-to-head in federal court this afternoon. At issue, the future of the National Guard deployment on the streets of D.C. Here's our Bob Barnard.
An attorney for the Office of the Attorney General here in D.C. calls the deployment of the National Guard on the streets of D.C. unlawful and that it's causing irreparable harm in the city. An attorney for President Trump said the city's lawsuit is a political stunt and said what the president is doing is trying to reduce crime in the city, and says that is actually working. Here's what we've seen for the past 10 weeks here on the streets of D.C. The Attorney General for D.C. says he wants the National Guard gone. Brian Schwab asking a federal judge to block the Trump administration from ordering the National Guard to stay on the streets of D.C. through next summer. That's the latest plan, according to documents shared with the court. The current deployment is supposed to end at the end of November, but military officials have told the out-of-state troops to prepare for winter. The Guard's men and women have been deputized as Special Deputy U.S. Marshals, and they are armed. The D.C. OAG says federal law prohibits the military from being involved in civilian law enforcement and calls the National Guard presence in D.C. a threat to public safety.
This is fundamentally un-American. From the very beginning of our country, we do not have military on the streets doing core civilian policing, and that's what's at stake in the nation's capital today and in our country today.
People here today with Free D.C. and other anti-Trump groups also say the National Guard needs to leave.
This is not a solution that anyone thinks is a long-term permanent way to actually make D.C. or any community safer. And, you know, the fact that this president is sending in National Guard members to cities all over the country, I think is a really good point that this is not related to crime. It's not actually about crime.
So the president had the right to call the National Guard. But they're just basically standing around, doing nothing, maybe doing occasional yard work for a cost of $500 a day per soldier and about $1 million a day, which is a total waste of our tax money.
At the conclusion of this afternoon's 2.5-hour hearing, federal judge Gia Cobb says she is taking the arguments under advisement, likely to get a ruling sometime next week. Guys?